So given that this is the show where we ask you nightly for your emails, it probably goes without saying that we get a lot of emails. And this one actually was a bit odd. It kind of stood out. On Friday, Portland City Auditor Mary Hole Caballero emailed several reporters and news outlets kind of out of the blue. At least it seemed that way at first, until we read this. Quote, recent media reports about a lawsuit against the city of Portland misrepresented the role of the independent police review in Portland's police accountability system. She goes on to say IPR investigates accusations of misconduct and delivers recommendations, but adds IPR does not decide whether a PPB officer violated policy or how they should be disciplined. That is the, quote, exclusive responsibility of the police commissioner, meaning Portland's mayor, and the police chief. Now, news junkies knew what she was talking about. And actually, it's a story that we think is definitely worth your time. It was published last week in the Oregonian. The headline, Portland police reject federal judge's contempt finding that officers used excessive force at protest. So in this, the O quoted court filings from a lawsuit tied to the racial justice protests of 2020. That suit was filed in federal court by the nonprofit Don't Shoot Portland. And we should note the Oregonian reported it was lawyers for the nonprofit who in their court filings really took aim at IPR. It's also, by the way, the same lawsuit that prompted Portland police to issue something of a surprise mea culpa and publicly release this violent meme a couple of weeks ago. It seems to show a police officer in riot gear beating a protester, jokingly calling that protester a dirty hippie. The meme was included in a police training presentation back in 2018. The mayor and police chief have both said they were horrified by this, and they are now investigating. Now, speaking of investigations, here's where we kind of pump the brakes for a second and bring it back to the auditor and that email and her point about who holds police accountable. Because you see, in those court filings dug up by the Oregonian, reporters found this. It's a transcript of an interview between an attorney for Don't Shoot Portland and a Portland police captain with the Bureau's Professional Standards Division. The attorney asked if the city has reprimanded or disciplined any member of the Portland Police Bureau for excessive force during the protests on a number of dates scattered throughout June, July, August, and September of 2020. Captain Jeffrey Bell says he's not aware of any officers being disciplined, so seems like a no. And that's a timely detail because amid all of this talk about protests, you, the viewers, had resurrected a years-old story asking us about the investigation into this clip. Remember this? Early June 2020, Portland's protests had just begun, as they had across the country, and a Portland police SUV, seeing protesters move barricades in the street, there it went, speeds toward them. Sky 8 caught it live while we were on the air. The city got several complaints about this, calling it excessive force, and the investigation was underway. Well, tonight, we can tell you that investigation is indeed finished. IPR passed it along to the mayor and police chief who make the decisions, as you heard in these cases. We've asked the mayor and the Bureau for the results of that investigation, and we filed a public records request. We will absolutely keep you posted, but we do want to point out if that transcript dug up by the Oregonian is any hint, we'll be surprised if any officers tied to that incident were disciplined.